According to Worldometers, women currently make up 50% of the population in Africa. However, according to UN Women, as of February 2019, only 24.3% of all national parliamentarians were women. This does not come as a surprise, as the world still is some distance away from gender balance. So today, we talk about whether or not Africans are ready to replicate this in parts of the continent. Now, is Africa ready for female leaders? Welcome to NC Debrief, the show where we dissect social, political and cultural issues affecting Africans. I am Maryann Okon, and joining me for today's conversation, I have Fumi Dosumu-Ayola, who has about 20 years of banking experience and knows firsthand what it means to contest a political office as a lady. She was a Federal House of Representatives candidate in the last election. It's good to have you join us, Fumi.
Hi, Maryann. Nice to meet you.
All right, well, I also have Ireti Bakare Yusuf. She's a broadcast journalist and outspoken feminist, for that matter. Remember, you can join us on the conversation by tweeting with the hashtag NC Debrief and share your thoughts with us. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at News Central TV. It's good to have you join us, Ireti.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It looks good on you. So I'm going to start with you, Fumi, because when you look around, I mean, what consequences do you think we suffer as a result of having adequate representation from women in governance? Because the thing is, we ask women to run, but we never really see those women run and complete the race. So what do you think is the problem?
I think there's a lot of lip service that's paid to having women run for elections. You know, when I was growing up, there was a slogan, educate a woman and you educate the world. You know, during the elections, I changed it to elevate a woman and you elevate the world. The truth of the matter is that men seem to have gotten comfortable in their space and they're not willing to let women come in. Unfortunately, even the women are not willing, very few women, if you ask me, are willing to push past that glass ceiling and, you know, and break through to get to the other side. That, I think, is part of the problem.
Richie, I don't know, I want to bounce this off you too, because you see, permit me to use the street word woke. We hear a lot of people saying that we're woke today, and a lot of women seem to be very outspoken, maybe on social media, and I'm wondering, why have we still, according to, just use her words, not been able to break that glass ceiling or see anything through in this regard?
Well, I think the first thing we have to appreciate, whether we like it or not, is patriarchy is an infectious disease. It doesn't let go. It doesn't let go. So basically, when Soyinka said, if you fight corruption, corruption fights back, it's pretty much the same as patriarchy. If you fight patriarchy, patriarchy fights back. And just like corruption, patriarchy has lots of soldiers, lots of prefects and lots of promoters. And that's why people like Fumi, when they go into politics with, you know, the most fantastic plan, they're determined, and they don't expect to necessarily win the first time, but they do expect to be respected, right?
Yes.
They expect to be given the same chance as their male counterpart. But you don't get it. Why? Like Fumi said, you've got women themselves. You look, soldiers of patriarchy are all over the place. They're even in the building while we're at. You just need to look around you. And you talk about woke. I'll tell you what's woke, that ridiculous word. What is woke is knowing the full meaning of feminism, which most don't know. So they might think they're woke. So they might be regurgitating something they saw on Twitter, on Instagram, on social media, wherever. However, they're not woke, because stop on the road and ask the average guy, Africa, across the board I'm talking about, ask the average guy, average young guy, what's the meaning of feminism? It'd actually be good if you could do, you know, a vox pop.
A vox pop,
yes,
yeah.
And ask. You get all sorts of varied, and I can pretty much guess that 70%, if not 90%, will be everything that feminism is not, because they don't understand
Let me
it.
Something here.
Quickly.
You know, during the elections, when you put a guy, a lady, and a gentleman together, when they're asking the question, they're asking the lady, "What's your plan?" They never ask the guys.
Look at that.
How so?
I'm telling you, the important question for the guy is, okay, so how did you do this last year? Or the lady, they grill you. The grilling
Could
is
that
a
be
lot
because
more.
this is a turf that has not necessarily been for the women? Could that be? I'm just
No, I don't.
Could
I
it
don't
be?
really
Because
don't
you know,
think so.
if you have run for a particular office over and over, the questions cannot be as the same for a person who's
No, but
just
you must have
as
plans.
as pathetic as they are.
You must have plans. You must always have a plan of action for whatever it is. So everybody should be at least come out and explain what their plan of action is, right?
Okay.
Rarely do you, and I'm talking about even guys who have never won an election before.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, as of February 2019, only 3 countries have 50% or more women in parliament and in single or lower houses. Now, Rwanda had 61.3%, Cuba had 53.2%, and Bolivia with 53.1%. Now, I'm going to ask you, ladies, why do you think it's so low? Do you think we have a capacity problem? Do you think that the women are not willing, we're only paying lip service, just as you said, or is it a culture thing? I'll start with you, Rati. You are very outspoken about women issues here.
Look, so I love how everybody always goes on about Rwanda. Look, Rwandans were forced to. They were forced to recognize the population, the female population, and realize that, hang on a minute, a lot of the men are dead.
But
we've got a lot of women.
If it's going to help us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look, by fire, by force, I get it. And I'm all for that. But what I'm saying is, we prepare, and I'm not saying what they're doing is wrong. I'm saying that they too had to wake up to the fact that you've got this huge population, you know, whatever percentages, and we're actually not tapping into this talent. And not tapping into the talent is almost suicidal as a country, and which is what most of the other countries that are not tapping into that talent are doing. That's number one. Number two, you ask, you know, why is it so low? Because, look, the ego, there's something I call the ego of patriarchy. Right? The ego of patriarchy is about possession. It's that possessiveness. It's my space. It's like a petulant child. Doesn't want to let go. And I don't want you to come in here because this is my space. This is how I do. I don't want anybody else to share with me. It's a fear.
Does it have anything to do with culture as Africans?
But it has everything to do with being male, number one, that testosterone, number one. Number two, then being African. Look, if there's a saying, I think it was Malcolm X that said it, where in one of his books, or was it Elijah Muhammad, I can't remember where, there's a fear of a black nation. Trust me, there's a real and present fear of a female dominant nation.
Interesting. For me, let's pick it up from there. Do you think we have a capacity problem? Again, don't forget, I always like to go to the case of Sarah Jibril for Nigeria. We applaud Liberia for allowing themselves to have a first female president, but let's use Nigeria as an example. The first woman who decided to stick her head out, no woman lined up, no woman even was behind her. So do you think
which is why you're going on about patriarchy. The truth of the matter is that a major part of the problem are the women themselves.
But patriarchy also has gatekeepers that are women.
Yes, true. I was going to go there. A lot of the problem, you're growing up and all they're telling you is that you're going to go up to be a president's wife, or you're going to go up to be, your husband will be the MD. And so the woman herself has never been pushed. She's never been pushed to go beyond being subservient or being secondary to somebody.
But there are women who will tell you that the case is different, although the percentage might be low.
Yes, there are some women, and I think more and more now, men are beginning to understand, particularly men who have female children, are beginning to understand that my girls can do more. They can be better than they are. And I hear them talk. I want my girls to do more. So now, maybe the next generation coming will be able to push past this cultural bias, because it's the women. I tell people that when women dress up, they don't dress up for the men. They dress up for themselves. It's the women that giggle behind your back and constantly trying to put you down.
So could this be one of the reasons why the men sit on the other side of the divide and say, we're not equipped, we're not ready? As much as we're saying or fighting for this equality of a thing, we probably are not prepared. Fumi, you were out in the field, you ran for office. You obviously would have maybe an idea of how the men treat you as a woman.
Let me now make you laugh. The funny part is you get there and the men are willing to give you a chance. Now the first thing the females want to look for is a guy behind her. She married. The moment my husband walks into the room, there's the you can actually feel the change in the atmosphere. Oh, okay. You know, because maybe somebody they think, this one wants to come and steal my husband or something. But you can actually feel the change in the room. There's this, okay, so now we can listen to her. You know, she's not single. And there's that what's the word I'm looking for?
What? Disrespect? What?
It's not disrespect. Well, maybe. You know, they feel that if you're not married or you don't have a man behind you.
Okay, belittlement.
Yes. You know, you really shouldn't be going forward. And that really also is a cultural problem.
Let me come in there, and I'm not definitely going to discard all the things you say about the women, but again, it's an infectious disease. Allow me to say, honestly, it's infectious. So the mother, the aunt that's saying, you know, to the girl child, you're going to become this, you're going to marry that person, you're going to marry... That's how she was brought up. So it's passed on generation to generation. One of the most important, why the feminist movement is important and why we must continue to wage the war against patriarchy is that exactly what you said, because you now have... Look at the hashtag that's trending this week. Hashtag girls dad. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? You know,
why are we not piggybacking? I'm sorry to talk over you. Why are we not piggybacking on these things? Because sometimes these things are pushed by men. Like she said, sometimes these men are supported. And I always ask, even if the men are willing to give the women a chance, how willing are women to give the women who are ready to work twice as hard a fighting chance?
Yes. Right, they are. And I'll tell you why. So you asked the question to start from the top. Why are we not piggybacking off this? Wait, do you think if a woman had said, okay, for instance, if I had started a hashtag saying, boy's mom, do you think anybody would have cared? No, this is part of patriarchy. The minute a man says it, it's such a big deal. Oh, wow, let's celebrate it. No, really. And because you could say, sadly, because of the tragedy of Kobe Bryant dying with his daughter, where everybody then started to share all the videos of him and his daughter and whatever, that then became that. And he answered it. That was actually something he said in an interview, and it became a hashtag. But imagine if a woman had said hashtag girl's mom, nobody would have noticed. If I started a hashtag and said I have a boy child, and I said hashtag, you know, yeah. So, but this is the thing.
But maybe
we can piggyback.
What if it were the same situation as a Kobe? Don't you think it would have trended if you were?
I think because we're always
reversed.
No, and I think, and I'll tell you why. I think because when something comes out of the mouth of a man, you think it's just the women here. It's no, it's global. It's a global disease. It's the way patriarchy is a global disease. The minute it comes out of the mouth of a man, everybody is like, oh, we got to celebrate.
Okay, ladies,
he's loving us. We're grateful.
We're going to come back to the home front, but let's talk about the leadership aspect of this. Former president of Liberia, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, had something to say about this. Let's take a look at it.
As I moved along the way and continue, like I said, to stand by my conviction, one could see that even though there were men dominance in a society, they did step back when you took a position because they respected you. I respected the position that you take. I can't claim that I did it all on my own. I owe it to Liberian women. Because these women themselves had seen themselves at the bottom of the ladder for so long, and the women decided the time of women had come. And they were going to mobilize and put their support to take this major historical change of putting a woman in charge.
Very powerful. I love these speeches. They can be really moving. But what happens after that? Do we go back to sleep? Or
Did you see what just happened, what she said?
Yes.
They were forced to, again, it was after the war. Look, and that's the thing. This is where we need to get to. We need to stop asking for permission. I am fed up with asking for permission. Women need to know, you know what? Like for me, that's my space. I'm going into it. Don't stop me. If you stop me, we'll betide you. And that's it. We need to take a no you know,
and I keep
no
asking,
hostage
I mean,
attitude.
how many women are ready to do that?
She has a point. No, not that even how many.
Even
how
the
many
men
women
have
are willing to support
godfathers in politics, and this spreads across the world.
Godfatherism, yeah, but godfatherism is about financial strength. How many women have that financial strength? When patriarchy hasn't allowed them, come on, think about it. Every single thing. I'm not making excuses. It all boils down to the same disease.
No. I have a question. How many women are willing to put their financial strength behind other women?
How many of them have financial strength?
Even the ones that have the financial strength. Even the ones that
in the world, in the list of richest people in the world, how many are women?
Forget about the number. Even if it's just one person or two, forgive me, those two women, are they willing? You see, the good thing about the men is that men will back themselves up anytime. See, I mean, the story of a man who didn't sleep at home and the wife called the friend to say, my husband didn't sleep at home, and all the friends were like,
that one that went viral.
It went viral. Slept in my house.
The boy code thing, the man code.
The men are always willing to stand up and back themselves up. Women, we have that major problem. And until we begin to, so there seems to be like a building, seems to be building now. We seem to understand that we need to back ourselves. We need to, stand up and have the girl code,
Yeah.
But it's not as,
you think it's not as virulent as the men?
Yes, we need to go there.
Okay, ladies, because we can spend all day talking about our problems, but we're here because we want to find solutions or chart a new course of sorts. So, like you said, do we need an affirmative action? Like you said, force. Do we need to have canes, running after people to say you must fall in line? Or do we forge some alliances with these so-called powerful men so that we can get exactly what we want? They say women have the powers to get the men to do what they need them to do in a good way.
Well, you see, this is it. We need to do both, and we can't take, it's not a one-size-fits-all. True. We have to take a tailored and pragmatic and strategic view to sorting this out. So you talked about partnership. Certainly we will find allies, right? Not because we can't do it by ourselves, but because
realistically, can we?
Yes, realistically we need to pull people with us. Yes, we need to pull people with us. So we need to find allies and stuff. That's number one. Number two, we need to continue to invest. I say something, there's something I say to people about. Look, black businesses need black money, right? Female businesses need everybody's money.
Okay.
Let's even see the women.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So we get ourselves financially strong.
So there are a lot of women in Africa. I could mention at least 10 who are successful in whatever they find themselves doing. But how many of these women are supporting people who are coming after them? Are we building up other women? Like I said, as the fathers are telling the boys, you're going to be president, you need to be a good husband, you need to be a good father, you need to put your head straight. Are women ready to dedicate their lives not to just their children, but other women who they need to build up, who may not necessarily have the kind of attention they had to get to where they got?
I think we're getting there.
Of course.
I mean, I actually think we're beginning to realize that we need to support each other. And so there's this grant. So that's why if you notice, there's so many grants out there for females. And they keep coming up every day. We're trying to, sort out the woman, because like I keep saying, if you elevate a woman, you're elevating the world. It's the woman that teaches the children a lot more. So there are lots of grants out there, a lot of business, a lot more business-oriented trainings and stuff like that for women. The problem I have is a lot of women are still very, what's the word to use?
Because they've been browbeaten for so long. Look, we can't get away from that. You ask a question. Yes, we should, and there are women who are propelling other women, who are mentoring girls, who are creating safe environments, they're creating education, they're creating training, they're creating...
Can we do it on a larger scale?
But but what is a larger scale? What you don't know is what somebody else is doing on the other side. Because we don't know doesn't mean it's not happening. And there are many happening.
Okay.
But I'll give you an example quickly. I, for one, and my sisters and stuff, I don't even remember ever being asked who are you going to marry when I was growing up. Now you could say, okay, Rachel, it's because you grew up in England. No, it's actually because I was brought up by a feminist mother who was actually very Nigerian. Okay, and she never once said to us, who are you going to marry? It was always, what did you want to be? And if we changed our mind every 6 months, well, that's what you're going to be. Okay. And I would change it every 6 months.
Okay. Yeah. So, again, we're here live in Nigeria, and some people would consider Nigeria as one of the most civilized in Africa. There are so many places like South Africa and the rest of the world, but how ready are we for a female president, a female leader? As much as the women seem to be getting little percentages here and there, do you think that we would embrace it if we decide that the whole of West Africa were fronting female presidents? What do you think? Where do you think they'll be faring in the polls? Rachel, don't give me that look.
No. Let me give a quick.
For me, go ahead.
You remember that Occupy Lagos thing that we did?
Occupy Nigeria?
Occupy Lagos, the day that we all went to. You know, and I got there. I mean, my husband almost died. But so I think followed me there, and you know, we got there, and I realized that there were so many men. Where were the women? You know, and a lot of men kept telling me that, my wife didn't want me to come home. My wife didn't want me to come home. You know, women are not even ready to. You know,
that's because of a fear of violence. That's what it is. And often what happens, no, you also can't get away with the fact that, look, often what happens in positions, no, in situations like that.
We have to put our money
we
where our
do,
mouth
but
is.
we can't get away. There are certain truths and facts that we can't get away. You ask a question, are we ready in Nigeria for a female leader?
No.
We've got a long way to go, let's just say.
Well,
we have a long way to go.
That's a diplomatic way to put it. But unfortunately, ladies, we have to go. That's all we can take on this edition of NC Debrief. I want to thank my guests, Funmi Dosunmu Ayola and Ireti Bakare Yusuf, for sharing their thoughts on if Africa is really ready for female leaders. But let us know what you think, because you're part of the conversation. Are you ready for a female leader? Keep the conversation going with the hashtag NC Debrief, and follow us on all our social media platforms at News Central TV. I'm Maryann Okon. Do have a great day.